Hey, welcome back to the Contemplation Cafe. This is Paul, your host, inviting you to, as always, come inside, pull up a chair, and have a think or two. And I'm going to have another installment here of just some of the kooky things I picked up reading Genesis. Like I said in the previous video, you just never know what God's got in store for you in His Word. And the encouragement is to get into God's Word, get into God's Word regularly. I'm not going to be a Pharisee and say you got to read it every day and you get a little gold star and a check. But just like you eat food to feed your physical body, you should be consuming God's Word to feed your spirit on a regular basis. We'll just call it that, but a regular basis. That we won't be a Pharisee about it. Going back through Genesis, some things that if you don't connect the dots, you kind of lose the detail. And again, this time through, all this stuff comes to the top, and it just made you go, like the old song, things that make you go, So here's some things that make you go, let's go ahead and back it up a little bit here. We're going to look at Genesis 17, just some connecting the dots. Verse 1, Abraham, 99 years old. God's changing his name, changing Sarah's name, gives him the promise of a child. And then, of course, Abraham says, well, hey, look, I'm 100 years old and my wife is 90. And that's in verse 17. So at this time, Abraham's 99, maybe almost 100. Sarah is 90. All right, so now we're going to flip over to chapter 18, to where God stops by Abraham's house for an afternoon snack. And look at verse number 7. Abraham ran to the herd, took a tender and good calf, gave it to a young man, and he hastened to prepare it. Okay. Boop. Abraham ran. Not Abraham got someone to run. Abraham ran. So this is a guy who is between 99 and 100 years old running. Isn't that cool? How often do you see someone who's 99 running anywhere? So that's pretty cool. Obviously, he lived to be 175, but nonetheless, he's 99 years old. He's already an old man. He knows he's an old man because he's 99 years old. But he's running. So kind of kooky. Let's flip over to Genesis chapter 20. And this is where Abraham meets up with this fella named Abimelech. Verse 2, now Abraham said of Sarah his wife, she's my sister. Abimelech, the king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. How old was Sarah? 90. What could possibly have prompted this king to look at her and say, you know what? I need to marry that gal. Again, how many people do you see looking at people who are 90 years old and saying, that's the guy or that's the gal for me? I don't see that. So what was it about Sarah that prompted him to do that? Was she still really youthful in appearance? I mean, did she look like not a day over 40? I don't know. Just one of those oddball things that you just don't see that and you don't think about it. But here I'm going through and wait a minute. She's 90 years old, and this guy's saying, I'm going to marry this gal? Okay, that doesn't make a lick of sense. Now, keep going through here. And then, of course, God goes to Abimelech and says, hey, you don't touch her. She belongs to somebody else. He's like, oh, man. And he goes after Abraham. Dude, what were you doing, man? I could have been really naughty here, and then God would have just smote me. It would have been really bad. Here we are in verse 17. Abraham prayed to God. God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants. Then they bore children, for the Lord had closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So again, interesting here. God healed Abimelech. Well, there's nothing in here that said that God afflicted Abimelech other than coming to him in a dream saying, But the other part is interesting because you go over here into verse 21, or chapter 21, Sarah now has Isaac. So you're looking at about a year-ish over these events. So how is it possible that they figured out that they were unable to bear children anymore? I mean, realistically, you would have to have stayed years to figure out, okay, you know, we're doing things that cause children and we have no children. So that really didn't happen. That more than likely this would be an inference, but it makes sense given the time frame that we're in. Basically, God just stopped all of their cycles from occurring, just like that. Because I'm quite sure it didn't take long for the early people to realize that those two things went together. When you started having the one, you started having the other. Didn't take long. So that's how they figured this out, that there was an issue because everything stopped. So again, how many times? 100 times reading through Genesis, never saw that, never connected those dots until this time going through. So since it popped up to me, I'm going to share it with you. Contemplate on that how you will. Until next time, thanks for stopping by the Contemplation Cafe. We'll see you again next time.